How's it going, guys? It's a rainy day here in Southern California, so I figured I would do another quick overview of another piece of my gear. This is going to be more so a comparison on why I chose the Scorpion EXO-R1 Air over the other helmet options that are out there, and less about specs and more about like the proposed value of this helmet. So you can say hi to my cat over there. She likes to be involved. So you'll probably see her pop in and out. But getting into this, the reason I chose this helmet is because of the value that it provides. And I laid out everything that the helmet comes with. You get a pin lock, you get a dark smoke shield, you get the clear shield, and you get the helmet with the helmet bag. The helmet bag is really nice. It's very well padded, nice and soft on the inside. It's not just like a really thin microfibery glasses case kind of bag that you might find with some other brands. This one's actually pretty substantial, and it feels nice, and it has a drawstring. I can carry it around, and I feel like it's not gonna rip on me, and I'm not worried about like carrying it by the string and walking around with it. So that was nice. The pin lock is a $25 value, and the shield with the bag is at least another $45 value. If you were to buy that exact shield, it's another $45. So in the package, you're getting a lot for a retail price of $399. That being said, you can probably find a 20% off code to like Revzilla or Cycle Gear or whatever website you want to buy this from. And that puts the price down at $319 plus tax, which is what I paid for it. So I want to say I was close to like $345 out the door for this whole setup. And I just feel like compared to everything else that's on the market, there's nothing else that really competes. I was cross-shopping this mostly with the Shoei R1400, which is up a price tier. I want to say that retail on that, excuse me, I want to say retail on that is more like $579 or something like that, closer to the $600 mark. And with that helmet, you're not getting any of the extras. I mean, you probably are getting a bag, but you're not going to get the pin lock. You're not going to get the dark smoke visor if you wanted it. You'd have to buy that separately. So you're looking at more like $700 after tax and getting your pin lock and your extra visor if you want them, if you go with that helmet. And that's not to bash on Shoei, like they're super high quality, and that's part of what had me look at the brand initially, was because of how it felt physically, like how the shell felt in my hands, how the visor moved up and down, the gears here and the cams, how everything clicked. It was very tactile and it felt really nice and premium. But ultimately for me, the fit on the Shoei was just not ideal. And that was mainly because of the liner inside of the Shoei helmets. And I'm sure you can swap that out for a different material liner, but that's just not something I wanted to deal with when I was already paying that much money for the helmet. And I know there's also way more expensive helmets, but as an entry-level individual, I'm not trying to spend $1,000 on a helmet that has the same DOT ECE rating as something that's a little bit more in my price range. So I ultimately ended up trying on, I don't know if it was this specific Scorpion, but just another Scorpion in general. And I just noticed how easily it slid on my face, how like easily the liner of these slid across my cheeks. And don't get me wrong, the fit was still tight. Like it wasn't that it was a looser fitting helmet or anything. I chose the appropriate size for my head, but it was just the material of the liner is what made it stand out to me personally. Sometimes I have a beard and sometimes I don't, and I noticed that like when I was trying on the Shoei, the amount of squeeze that it put on my cheeks and the fact that the cheek pads on the inside were made of like almost like a French terry or microfiber material, it tugged at my face, and like it was like stubble, or whether if it was a beard, it pulled at that a lot. And it also really hurt my ears going in and out. And if I'm putting on and taking off my helmet all day, multiple times a day, it was just not something I wanted to deal with. And it would almost be like a chore, in my opinion. So this, when I put it on, it was like that immediate feeling of like, okay, this is way easier to get on and off, and it feels a lot better on than the Shoei did. So that was ultimately why I went this route. And then it was just a bonus that it came with all of the other things pictured here. So that's kind of why I ended up this direction. If you've never seen a Scorpion helmet before, this material in here is more like a neoprene or like a dry fit kind of moisture wicking material. That's kind of like, I guess, how I would best describe it. It's just very smooth and it's cool to the touch. Yeah, I'm just feeling it and trying to describe it to you guys. But very comfortable. And I think that's ultimately what led me to pick this over anything else that I tried on, was that the comfort and the fit on this helmet specifically, for at least my head shape, was pretty ideal. Not to mention you got features like the Airfit system on the inside of the Scorpion, which for those of you who have never seen this helmet in person, or I think like the 520, what is it, the T520 by Scorpion also has the Airfit system. It's just a little air pump that you can pump up in the cheek pads to make the helmet fit a little bit tighter. And like I mentioned before, sometimes I have a beard, sometimes I don't. And that beard does provide a little bit of extra thickness. So it's kind of nice to have the versatility of this, where if maybe I just shaved off my beard and I don't have that extra thickness on my cheeks, then I can pump this up and make it just as tight fitting as it was before when I did have my beard. So it just provides some flexibility. I don't imagine I'm going to use it that often, but it's just a nice to have that other helmets don't have, especially in this price point. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about here, just kind of why I chose this and comparing it to at least one other helmet on the market. But I guess if I had one little shred of advice for anyone out there shopping for helmets, especially a new rider, is to try on as many as you can and figure out what's comfortable, because putting on one and just assuming that that's how it's supposed to feel and fit, I feel like is a mistake. Because if I would have just put on like the RFSR by Shoei or the RF1400 and been like, oh, this is just how a helmet's supposed to fit, it's supposed to be this tight, and it's supposed to feel like this going over my ears, then I probably would have just bought it and dealt with it and owned it, when I wouldn't have known that there was something more comfortable out there that was a better fit for me. So get as much exposure as you can to as many helmets as you can. And if you don't have access to a place in person like Cycle Gear or Revzilla locally, then you can always use, I believe the website that has free returns and free shipping is speedaddicts.com. If you want to go through them and do some research on helmets, say, oh, I think I might really like this one, I think I'd be a medium, order from them. If it doesn't fit, at the worst, you can always just send it right back. So there is options for you to get exposure to different helmets and make sure that everything fits perfectly. Don't put yourself in a situation where you've done all this online research, but you haven't actually seen the helmet physically, and then just buy it and then figure out that it doesn't work for you or your head shape or your comfort. So that's all I got for you guys. Just a quick one today on why I picked this helmet. And everybody ride safe. I'll catch you in the next one.